Hello. Yes, I am still alive. Being bored stiff since I've had this shoulder operation done, I've been going back over a few old photos of bikes that I've had in the past. Now, I haven't got any from the really early days of the 50s, the 125s, 175s, 250s, but I did dig out a couple, or at least a few, from since I've passed my test, up to the ones that I've got now. I'll say I was bored. Hopefully you'll stick through it and see some of the bikes I've had. And you always get that one or two day that you just wish you never got rid of. I'll point them out as we get to them. Okay, so first up is a 1987 BMW K100 LT. Now that's the ones that the police always used to use. Now that engine earned the nickname of the Flying Brick. It was a 987cc which pumped out 90 horsepower. Now it only had a 5-speed gearbox back then and a dry clutch. Now, the bike weighed in at 283 kilograms wet, and some of that was 22 litres of fuel. But it did average around 50 miles per gallon, which was pretty good considering its weight. It was a good comfy bike, decent weather protection, and come with a full set of luggage. Although look at that top box, absolutely useless. Best of all though, it was a shaft drive, but its biggest downfall was the way it ate through its back tyres. Okay, so next up is a 1995 Honda CBR 1000F. Now from a 998cc engine, they managed to get 135 horsepower and coupled it up to a 6-speed gearbox. This one had the link braking system, was a comfortable, decent handling bike for 256 kilograms wet. Now it wasn't the fastest of the litre bikes back then, and this one was the last of the bunch before the Blackbirds took its crown as Honda's big capable tourer. Talking of Blackbirds, that's the fastest bike I've ever ridden, and when I saw how fast I was going, I took it home, cleaned it and sold it the very next day to my wife's amazement. I never rode a bike again then for 8 years after that. Well, after 8 years of not riding, my mate got himself a CB 1000R and said, "Go on, take it for a blast." That was that. I had the bug again. So within a few days we bought this, a 2002 Yamaha XJR 1300. This is a bike I should never have gotten rid of. A pure muscle bike with a 1251cc engine that only put out 98 horsepower, but it was so smooth and full of grunt. All that power was just where you needed it. This one was absolutely immaculate, and I should have just put a cover over it and kept it for sunny days. But we didn't. We traded it in for this, a 2004 V-Strom 1000. Now this was a great bike, had a comfortable riding position, and put out loads of grunt from that 105 horsepower twin engine, but I always thought that it looked ugly from certain angles. The biggest problem with it though was the clutch basket caused a judder at certain revs. It was so common in the V-Stroms it was given the name chudder. I had a custom bearing made for it which did make it better, but it still wasn't 100% right. So off it went, and then this took its place, a 1200 Bandit. What can you say about these things that hasn't already been said before? They're great fun, they've got loads of grunt and still plenty about today putting smiles on people's faces. This one of mine sounded great with that Beowulf can on it. Right, next up is a 2010 Triumph Sprint GT. Now this is the same as the normal Sprint, but these had an extended swing arm. I think it was about 2 inches longer and weighed in at 268 kilograms. Had a beautiful 1050 triple engine that bangs out 128 horsepower. It also came with a pannier system that as you leant the bike, the panniers would lean, and apparently that helped with handling. This was a really nice bike, but even with bar risers on it, it absolutely killed my wrists. So that was another one that had to go. Right, Next I'll give you the Suzuki GSX 1250 FA. That's an inline 4 putting out 96 horsepower from a 1255cc engine. These were essentially a Fed Bandit. This one had a full bodywork protection film over every panel on it and was absolutely mint condition. The biggest downside of that bike was that exhaust pipe that resembled a stainless steel kitchen bin. Absolutely massive. You can see from those header pipes though just how clean it was. That was a nice bike, and in hindsight I probably should have kept it a lot longer than I did. Right, we switched to Yamaha now. This is the FJR 1300. And if you don't think something that big can go round corners fast, go and take one for a test ride. It was longer than a BP supertanker, but boy did it go. It comes with a 1298cc banging out 145 horsepower. Now, it only had a 5-speed box, but did have the holy grail for all touring bikes in my opinion, a shaft drive. It also came with electric screen, superb brakes, was incredibly comfy, and for a big old tank like it wasn't too bad on fuel. Say hi to the BMW F800 GS Trophy. I think the trophy bit just meant it came with the bash plate and engine bars as standard. Now, I had this one from new, and to be fair, it was a brilliant bike. I tried out the 1200 GS and this 800 GS on the same day, and I went for this one. Now, I only banged out 85 horsepower from that 798cc twin, but I mean that was plenty. The reason I got rid of it was because I never really had confidence putting that 90x90 profile front tyre into the bends, especially in the wet. I'm always a bit more wary than Mike is of putting this into the corners, as it's a mega thin front wheel on this. I managed to rig it all out with aluminium panniers, made it into a proper adventure touring bike, just in time to sell it. Worse than the front tyre was how the front dove down under heavy braking. You really did think you were going to go flying over the handlebars. Right, back to Yamaha now with the Tracer 900 GT. Another brand new one I got, and I got it just days before we went to France on a week's tour. Now, to be fair, the bike did well on that trip, and hearing that triple sing its way all round the French back roads was lovely. But the biggest downfall for that bike though was its payload, and it's something I should have checked before I bought it. Because of my weight, I took up most of it, and meant that my missus had to get down to something like just under 4 stone to be able to get on the back. Oh, and the original tyres were shit too. But if you're a fat knacker like me, trust me, that's not the bike for you. So after only having that Tracer for about 10 months, we thought we'd probably be better off getting something that is purpose built for fat middle-aged bald men. So I give you the BMW R1200 RT LE. Now, if you want to see why the police and ambulance services use these, load one up to the gunnels and take it down the twisty road. No matter what I put that bike through, it coped with it. The electronic suspension adjusted to whatever you loaded onto it. The telelever front suspension said pick a line and I'll stick to it. And that massive electric screen said whatever happens, I'll keep the worst of the weather off of you. Couple that with full luggage with central locking, hill assist, quick shifter with blipper, heated grips, heated seats front and back, and absolutely amazing braking. It really was a fat man's wet dream, and I miss it big time. The bike I mean, not the wet dreams. It's just a shame I kept dropping it because of this shoulder. But wait a minute. Allegedly that's been fixed now. Okay, so that brings us up to modern day and what we've got now, which is the 2023 Kawasaki Versys 1000 SE Grand Tourer. There's a bloody mouthful. I've got to say, I do love this bike. It sounds lovely when you're under acceleration. I say it's the GT kit, so it comes with cornering lights, You got 3 of those. The more you lean, the more light up. The fog lights come as part of the pack, as do the sliders. Now this has got the sky hook suspension which constantly adjusts itself. Comes with a complete full luggage, top box, 2 panniers. All of those have got the inner bags that come as part of the pack. Full LED lights all the way around. As you can see, top box has a backrest. And that's the only downside, is it's chain drive, not shaft. Comes with a quick shifter with the auto blipper, and I have to say that is brilliant. And also comes with cruise control and a nice TFT dash. And I actually like that the rev counter is the old style clock. But there she is. That's her daytime running lights on and the fog lights. And back then I said just need some trips. So is the Versys going to stick around for the whole of 2024? Even I don't know that yet. You can rest assured though, if things change, you'll be the first to know.